Have you been afraid of God because someone has told you that you need the fear of the Lord, and then they give all kinds of scriptures to you about that? I want to tell you, you don't need to be afraid of God. I used to be afraid of God, horribly terrified of God, due to the misuse of scriptures, due to people beating that, the fear of the Lord, the fear of the Lord, the fear of the Lord, the Lord, and you got to fear God, fear God, fear God. That is a mangling of the scriptures. God loves you. The scriptures also say that God is love. He loves you. He loves me. But if you've had your head mangled with those words before, you might have a hard time believing me. And believe me, I get you. I get it. It took me a long time to unpack that. But I want to give you a couple of different ways to reframe that way of how they said you have to be afraid of God. God doesn't want you to be afraid of him. He doesn't want you to be afraid of him. There are things in our world that are very powerful. They have a lot of power. God's powerful. He created the whole universe. That's kind of a lot of power. So these smaller examples, they're not as big as God and as powerful as God. So they are not perfect, but they are useful. Think about the ocean. If you are going to go to the ocean is powerful. There are storms that happen out there. There's a thing called undertow. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, undertow, because there's waves on the ocean. The water comes in and then it goes back out. Well, at a certain place when the water is going back out, there's this sucking down into the deep, a thing called undertow. That's where people are in danger of being hurt or possibly drowning if they are unaware of the power of undertow. If they're unaware of the way the ocean works, then they will not operate in a way that is wise. They won't know how to do things properly to keep themselves safe and have a proper relationship with the ocean. I know it's not a person, it's just the ocean. And I said it's an imperfect example. Another example I thought of was fire. Fire is powerful. I find fire mesmerizing. I want to just sit and stare at it and stare at it. It captivates me. Fire can be very destructive, but fire cooks food and fire keeps us warm and fire has a lot of wonderful, useful things. Frequently, we don't really understand fire, but firemen do. Firemen do. They have to study fire and the different kinds of fire and color of fire and things about fire that I have heard of and don't know enough about to elaborate on. Point being, fire is powerful, fire is beautiful, but if we don't understand fire, we could get hurt by it because of our lack of understanding about it. That's what people throwing this fearing God around is, a lack of understanding. God is marvelous. God is wonderful. Think about when something captures your amazement. You're captivated by it. Like I'm mesmerized by watching fire. Think of that. God is awe-inspiring. God is magnificent. God is beautiful. God is big and glorious, and we would be in wonder, like, wow. And what do we do for someone who has a kind of power? We have respect for them. Think of someone you know who is powerful in whatever position they do, but they are just a wonderful person. They're just a wonderful person, but you know they got authority. You give respect to that authority. You have reverence and respect. You're not afraid of them. That's a completely different thing. It took me a long time to unpack that religious trauma of being afraid of God. And perhaps what I've shared today has been helpful for you, but if you need help unpacking that in your life, you have that religious trauma in there of being afraid of God, connect with me and I would love to help you unpack that so you could own the love of God instead of that oppressive fear of God that many voices out there are pushing on people. God loves you. He wants what's best for you. He doesn't want you to be afraid of him. I don't want you to be afraid of him. I'm Danielle Burnock from DanielleBurnock.com, that lady on the internet who loves you And I want you to know how much you matter and how much you are loved. So if you want to connect, 15 minutes, we can chit chat and see if we're a good fit and if you think I can help you. Till next time, mwah, I love you. Bye-bye.